Our first story takes us to the heartland of America, rural Ohio. Picture a sprawling property bordered by a wall of trees, ancient and imposing. It's here, nestled amongst the oaks, that a family built their children a sanctuary, a place of laughter and games. A treehouse. At first it was everything a treehouse should be, a place of joy, adventure, a world away from the everyday. But something shifted. Something darkened within the wooden walls of that treehouse. It began subtly, a whisper on the wind, a rustling leaf that seemed just a bit too loud. The children, young and imaginative as they were, started to hear voices. Faint whispers at first, barely audible murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very walls of the treehouse. They told their parents, as children do, about the voices, about the strange sounds. But their concerns were dismissed, brushed aside as overactive imaginations fueled by make-believe. But the whispers persisted. They grew louder, more insistent, weaving their way into the children's games, their laughter. The voices spoke of unsettling things, urging the children to leave, to never come back. Fear, primal and chilling, began to take root in their young hearts. What was once a place of refuge became a prison of dread. The parents, once dismissive, could no longer ignore the terrified pleas of their children. They too began to hear the whispers, the disembodied voices that seemed to seep from the very grain of the treehouse. Driven by a desperate need to protect their children, the family made a decision. The treehouse had to go. With heavy hearts, they tore down the structure, piece by piece, dismantling the source of their terror. But as they ripped away the last plank of wood, they uncovered something truly chilling, strange symbols, markings that defied explanation. Our next story takes us deep into the Pacific Northwest, a land of towering trees and a haunting primeval beauty. It's here, amidst the dense woods, that a group of friends, seeking adventure, decided to build their own escape, a treehouse hidden away from the world. The treehouse, a labor of love and youthful exuberance, was everything they had dreamed of. A haven perched high above the forest floor, a place where they could disconnect from the outside world and reconnect with each other. The first night fell, casting long shadows through the dense canopy. As they gathered around a crackling fire, sharing stories and laughter, the first sign of unease crept in. A scratching sound, faint but distinct, emanated from the roof of the treehouse. They dismissed it, attributing it to the nocturnal wanderings of a curious squirrel or a raccoon seeking shelter. But as the night wore on, the scratching intensified, accompanied by the unsettling sensation of being watched. Then movement in the shadows. Fleeting glimpses of something moving through the branches just beyond the reach of the firelight. Shapes that seemed to mimic their movements, dark silhouettes that danced at the edge of their vision. Fear, contagious and insidious, began to spread through the group. One of the friends, emboldened by a potent mix of bravado and liquid courage, decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight and a growing sense of dread, he climbed out of the treehouse and into the darkness. His friends watched as his silhouette disappeared into the shadows, their laughter dying in their throats. They called out his name, their voices a mixture of false confidence and genuine fear. But there was no answer. Silence descended upon the forest, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the pounding of their own hearts. He was gone, the remaining friends, their bravado shattered, huddled together in the treehouse, fear a tangible presence in their midst. Dawn broke, painting the forest in hues of grey and pale gold, but their friend was still missing. The authorities were called, their investigation uncovering nothing but more questions. Chapter 3. The Cursed Treehouse. Our journey into the heart of treehouse horror now takes us to the humid, moss-draped bayous of Louisiana, a land steeped in folklore. It's here, amidst the tangled vegetation and ancient cypress trees, that a father's love for his daughter would unknowingly awaken a darkness that had slumbered for years. He wanted to build her something special, a place where her imagination could soar, a refuge from the world. So he chose a majestic oak, its branches heavy with Spanish moss, its roots sunk deep into the fertile soil. He used wood from a fallen tree on his property, wood weathered by time and bleached by the relentless Louisiana sun. The treehouse was a masterpiece, a testament to his love. His daughter was overjoyed, her laughter echoing through the trees as she explored her new domain. But their joy was short-lived. The nightmares began almost immediately. Vivid, disturbing dreams that left his daughter pale and shaken. She spoke of a woman, her face obscured by shadow, her voice a mournful whisper on the wind. The woman spoke of injustice, of a life cut short, a yearning for peace. She claimed the tree as her own, a sanctuary desecrated. Night after night the nightmares returned, each one more terrifying than the last. The little girl, once so full of life, refused to go near the treehouse, her eyes wide with terror at the mere mention of it. The father, desperate to help his daughter, began to investigate. He learned from the whispers of the local townsfolk, those who remembered the old stories, that the tree he had chosen held a dark secret. Years ago, during a fierce thunderstorm, a woman had sought shelter beneath its protective canopy. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. A bolt of lightning had struck the tree, instantly killing the woman taking refuge beneath it. The tree, they said, was cursed, a conduit to the other side, haunted by the restless spirit of the woman who had met her untimely end beneath its branches. The father, his heart heavy with guilt and fear, knew what he had to do. He couldn't bear to see his daughter tormented any longer. He gathered his courage and set fire to the treehouse. The flames consumed the structure, but the nightmares continued, relentless and terrifying. Chapter 4. The Treehouse That Disappeared. Our final tale of treehouse terror takes us across the Atlantic to the British Isles, to a small village nestled amidst rolling hills and ancient forests. It's here, in this idyllic setting, that a group of children, their imaginations fueled by the magic and mystery that seemed to permeate the very air they breathed, built a treehouse that would become the stuff of local legend. Their treehouse was their sanctuary, a hidden world of their own making, tucked away in a secluded part of the woods. They spent countless hours there, their laughter echoing through the trees, their imaginations weaving tales of adventure and camaraderie. One day they decided to invite a new friend to join their secret society, to share in the joy of their hidden world. They led him, their faces beaming with excitement, along the winding path, eager to introduce him to their beloved treehouse. But as they approached their destination, a sense of unease settled over them. Something was different. The treehouse, once so familiar, seemed alien, its wooden planks warped and weathered, as if years had passed instead of days. The once bright paint was peeling, revealing bare wood beneath, and a thick layer of moss covered the roof, giving the entire structure an air of decay and neglect. Confused and a bit frightened, they cautiously climbed the ladder, their eyes scanning the interior, their hearts pounding in their chests. What they found inside sent chills down their spines. The once empty treehouse was now filled with furniture, but not the kind children would use. Heavy, ornate pieces, their upholstery rotting and torn, occupied every inch of space. Dust covered every surface, cobwebs hung from every corner, and the air was thick with the smell of decay and something else, something unsettlingly sweet and cloying. But the most disturbing sight was the dolls. Dozens of them, their porcelain faces cracked and chipped, their eyes staring blankly into the gloom. They were arranged in a circle on the floor, their lifeless eyes seeming to follow the children's every move. Terror, primal and overwhelming, seized the children. They scrambled out of the treehouse, their escape as frantic and undignified as their arrival had been joyous. They raced through the woods, their breath catching in their throats, the image of the decaying treehouse and its unsettling inhabitants seared into their minds. They told their parents, their voices trembling with fear. But their words were met with skepticism and gentle amusement. Children, after all, had such vivid imaginations. Determined to prove that what they had seen was real, the children led their parents back to the spot where they had built their treehouse. But when they arrived, their hearts sank. The treehouse was gone, vanished without a trace. The clearing was empty, the trees standing silent and indifferent, as if guarding a secret too terrible to reveal. Outro the unseen horrors. So there you have it. 4 terrifying tales of tree houses transformed from havens of childhood into vessels of fear, their branches reaching not towards the heavens, but towards something far more sinister. These stories serve as chilling reminders that sometimes the most innocent places can harbor dark secrets. Whether it's whispers in the walls, shadows in the branches, or a curse from the past, tree houses can be more than just a child's playhouse. They can be gateways to the unknown. So the next time you find yourself drawn to the allure of a treehouse, remember these stories. Sleep well, my friends, and if you hear a scratching sound outside your window tonight, maybe, just maybe, don't look up.